Johnny B. Biden is leaving the White House the exact same way that he entered. 4 years ago, John Biden walked into the White House with 5 decades of huge embarrassing failure as a politician. Quick! Name a single accomplishment. Name one piece of legislation that John Biden sponsored that actually helped America. Well, Casey, he forgave student loan debt. That was a huge help to millions of indoctrinated Americans. Yeah, for those that received it, I'm sure the forgiveness of student loan debt helped in the short term. I'm sure you know the old saying, there is nothing free in this world. John Biden is not a magician. He didn't just sign some piece of paper and magically erase billions of dollars of student loan debt. Someone had to pay that bill, and that someone is you and me. And when I say you and me, I'm also including the people who had their debt forgiven. You might not be sending payment directly to Sally Mae, but you are damn sure paying the bill. Every time you go to the grocery store and you're buying great value cucumbers that are half the size of your preferred length because inflation has made the supersized cucumber unaffordable, that is you repaying your debt. There is no denying the fact that Johnny B. Biden was a huge embarrassing failure as the president. CNN conducted a poll, I think it was this week. 61% of respondents, they agreed that the last 4 years were an epic failure. Johnny B. Biden failed so miserably, he failed to be nominated to defend his title at the second annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. This dude was such a failure, he failed to be nominated to defend his crown at a ceremony designed to honor failures. Normal people can agree that this administration was a disaster. Normal people can agree that Joe Biden was not an effective leader. Hell, he wasn't a leader, period. Not the mainstream media, though. No! Last night, Rachel Maddow reacted to the farewell address from John Biden. Well, Casey, last night was Wednesday. I thought Rachel Maddow only worked on Monday. MSNBC has brought their hero back 5 nights a week, hoping that she can polish their primetime turd. Not only did they bring Rach back full time, they also revoked $5 million of her woke welfare. So Rach is working 80% more and making $5 million less. Last night, Rachel Maddow, she was leading the panel of reactors on MSNBC. Little Red Riding Hood was there. The former Wicked Weave, who has now become the Balding Beauty, she was there. They were there to offer emotional support because Rachel Maddow, she was going through a very emotional time. She was damn near crying as our former fearless leader said goodbye to the disaster that he created. Rachel Maddow took a moment to honor John Biden and the leadership that she believes that he provided the country. The rest of us call it a complete lack of leadership, but according to Rachel Maddow, John Biden's leadership qualities are great! As she was admiring the leadership of Johnny B., Rach started talking about these weird tingles and weird shivers that she experiences while listening to our fearless leader. Initially, I thought she was reacting to an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, but I double-checked, and Rach was definitely reacting to Johnny B. Biden. Watch it for yourself.
He talked about the free press crumbling, which put a shiver down my spine, and then talked about how truth is being sacrificed for lies for the purposes of power and profit. So this is important because he has essentially decided not to brag on the way out about what he did. He did a little of that, but really he's taken this last moment to say, here is what we've got right now, and this is why. This is not just dangerous because it doesn't sound American. It's dangerous because this is what they're doing to you with this oligarchy, with this concentration of power, and with what they're doing to the press and the truth. And that is stark and sober, and like I said, it put a chill down my spine.
Is it any wonder why MSNBC is struggling? Is it any wonder why no one is watching this polished turd? This is why I told you guys the other day it might be a mistake for MSNBC to rely on Rachel Maddow to restore credibility and ratings, because I guarantee you there was not a single person watching that speech last night besides Rachel Maddow who was tingling as the words barely escaped the mouth of Johnny B. Biden. I'll show you some highlights of the speech. Let you decide for yourself. You tell me if you're tingling at the words of Johnny B. But first, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. This morning on the second channel, we talked about Gerard Mayo's wife complaining about a lack of fairness because her husband was fired so the Patriots could hire Mike Vrabel. Uncle KC gave some very valuable advice to the ladies, so make sure to subscribe to the second channel and check it out. John Biden, he didn't speak for very long last night. I think the speech was less than 20 minutes. My inside sources are telling me that with a fully charged battery, John Biden, he can only stay awake for half an hour. So the writers, they had to find a way to summarize the last 4 years in less than 20 minutes. Well, I could have done that for him. I could have done that in less than 20 seconds. Here is a brief summary of the last 4 years. Failure. The biggest highlight of the speech was a stern warning issued by John Biden. It was a warning meant for the little people. It was a warning meant for the people that have struggled the last 4 years under his lack of leadership. After 4 years of not giving a shit about the average American, John Biden decided on his final day in office to give us some advice. Watch for yourself.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. And this is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules, pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now.
You want to complain about an oligarchy now? You want to warn us about an oligarchy now? Correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't remember hearing this warning from Johnny B. Biden when he was allegedly colluding with the cyborg, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't remember hearing this warning when Twitter was suppressing the opinions of normal people. I don't remember hearing this warning when the mainstream media was burying the laptop story involving Hunter B. Biden. But all of a sudden, when Facebook and Twitter suddenly develop a strong taste for oranges, now John Biden wants to call it an oligarchy? Strange. The thing is, Joe Biden isn't necessarily wrong. He's just the wrong messenger. For decades, politicians have served the lobbyists who donate to their campaigns instead of serving the people who elect them. Now, of course, John Biden conveniently left that part out. Instead, he was more interested in talking about millionaires and billionaires paying their fair share. I get so tired of that narrative because there's a simple solution to the problem. If you want to make taxes equitable, and considering the fact that deacons at Woke United Methodist are obsessed with equity, you would think they would support this idea. If you want to make taxes equitable, implement a flat tax. Get rid of all the loopholes, get rid of the bureaucracy, implement a flat tax, and make it simple to understand. Then everyone is paying their fair share. Now, of course, they will never do that because it would put all their pretend friends at the IRS in the unemployment line. And why in the hell was he bragging about some doofus climate change bill? In the midst of one of the coldest winters in years, John Biden wants to talk about climate change? He wants to brag about some legislation that developed clean energy? Where is this clean energy? The only thing I've noticed is the gas in my 4Runner is once again $3 a gallon. Congratulations, kids! I forgave your student loan debt, but you can't afford groceries and you can't afford gas to be the employee that we trained you to be. Right now, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, they are arguing over who should be given credit for the ceasefire in Israel. John is claiming that he negotiated the ceasefire. The Trumper, he is claiming that he got it done. Who is actually responsible for it? I don't know, but let's just look at this logically for a second. The initial attack was October 7th, 2023. At the time, John Biden was desperately attempting to be our leader. For 14 months after the attack, there's been a war in the Middle East. I'm sure John Biden tried to use his negotiating skills to work out a ceasefire. Obviously, it didn't work. A week or so ago, Donald Trump, he told the world, if hostages are not returned by January 20th, there's going to be hell to pay. All of a sudden, there's a ceasefire and the hostages will potentially be returned. Now, I'm not familiar with foreign policy. Unlike Mina Kimes, I don't pretend to be an expert in things I know nothing about. But looking at the optics, looking at the last 4 years of embarrassing failure, I'm more inclined to believe that the Trumper got this done. Joe Biden is leaving the White House the same way that he arrived. And like I told you guys the other day, I think Joe Biden is leaving with regret. I think he regrets stepping aside and allowing Cam Harris to become the replacement loser. If there's one thing John Biden has excelled at throughout his 50 years in politics, it's losing. I think he regrets stepping aside and not excelling at the one thing he does best one last time. Give me your thoughts on this, though. Joe Biden says goodbye to America. Speech was a disaster. Some of it was hypocritical. All of it was boring. How will you remember Johnny B. Biden? Will you look back at the last 4 years with fond memories, or are you ready to forget about the last 4 years? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later.